I have seen so many fat PTs over the years, and it really is not a good look. Like, if you are going to teach someone how to change their body, build muscle, and transform, is it not better to walk the talk? I have seen so many fat, unfit PTs training people in the gym, and I look at these people they're training and I think, why on earth would you choose that person to get you fit? It's like going to someone who's broke and asking them to teach you how to make money. You know, someone who's not running a highly successful online business but has studied it and has a lot of intellectual understanding of it can teach you the intellectual principles that they have learned. But understanding intellectual principles of something and actually truly understanding it because you've done it are two completely different things. Like, you can't learn tennis from a book. You could learn a lot about tennis from a book, you know, how to hold the racket, how to position it. If you really studied it, you could learn an enormous amount of theory around playing tennis. But the minute you stood on a tennis court with a tennis racket in your hand and tried to apply that theory, you would have to go through the whole learning process again, and you would learn so much more, because now you learn they're saying you should stand this way and do this, but then you stand this way and you try and hit the ball in this way, but it doesn't work, it doesn't connect, you have to make little changes, little iterations to what you're doing in order to make it successful. That's what makes someone truly an expert, whenever you have done what you're trying to teach others to do. And I just think it's so important that you walk the talk. I know a girl who tried to start an online business years ago. And I remember her starting to promote this online fitness business that she was starting to run. And I looked at her and I thought, you're just fat. Like, she was literally just fat. And she was trying to teach women how to build muscle and get lean and shredded. And I was looking at her thinking, you've never been shredded a day in your life and you have no visible muscle. Who is going to look at that woman and think, that's exactly what I want to look like? Yep, she's the girl to teach me how to get shredded. See, whenever you are a living representation of what you're teaching, it makes it so much easier to sell. In my company, whenever we run ads, we just put a picture of me looking ripped and shredded, and I am not ripped and shredded at the minute. Yes, I have good muscle, but I'm certainly not lean, so I don't look like I have a lot of visible muscle. So I wouldn't be a really good representation at the minute. But I take a photo of me in a photo shoot when I'm ripped and shredded, and I slap it on an ad with something saying 4-week shred or get lean for summer, or, you know, some question, and people see the photo and then they see the words and they put 2 and 2 together and they know exactly what it is that you are selling. Or they look at you and they think, well, she obviously knows what she's talking about. So they trust you immediately because you know what you're talking about. It's like whenever I give people online advice, people come to me for advice on how to grow their online business. The reason they come to me for advice on how to grow their online business is because I own and run the largest online bodybuilding company in the world that I built from scratch by myself. And so people will say, should I do this or should I do that? And I'll say, well, I'll tell you what I've done. I'll give you my experience. So I don't have theory on how to build and run an online business. I have experience. So I can tell people what I tried and worked for me, what I tried and didn't work for me, and I can give them the benefit of my experience. That's why people come to me for advice on how to start and run online fitness businesses. So if you're going to teach something, you have to be the living representation of what you teach. And I think this is a lot of the problem with people who try to start online businesses. They start online businesses because they want to make money. And so they go, well, I know a lot about this subject, and because I know a lot about this subject, I can use my knowledge to make money. But it doesn't translate because you're not actually an expert. Knowing a lot about something doesn't make you an expert. Knowing a lot about something and then applying that in the real world and having success with it and a lot of failure is what makes you an expert. Knowledge is not enough. You can't just have knowledge. You can't just have studied as a PT and now you're going to create a program on, you know, how to get women fit or ripped or whatever. Unless you have gone through that experience yourself, unless you have dieted hard, unless you've deprived yourself, unless you've gotten up in the morning and done cardio when you're exhausted and you're calorie deprived and sleep deprived, only when you have sent your trainer texts at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, I feel like a failure as a wife, as a mother, I'm like a woman with permanent PMT, I spend my days crying, I'm exhausted, I don't feel like I can go on. I've sent my trainer text messages like this before. Only when you've done that can you truly understand your customer when they say, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. And you can empathize and say, I know exactly what you're going through because you've gone through it too. So how can you teach someone to do what you haven't done? Theory isn't enough, you also need experience.